So our presentation today is preparing your students for state testing, and my name is Monica Rodella. I'm the school counselor here at Miller Elementary. Um, so what we're going to be going over today is first what tests our students are going to be taking, and then looking at how to prepare your students for the tests, reducing some of their test anxiety and managing your own stress with some self-care. I'll be reviewing some what the test results will look like and the information you'll get back as a parent, and then just some additional resources for you to help your student prepare for the test. Okay, so first the test, and I say tests because there are multiple that they will be taking, and some they have already taken. So to start with, we have the California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress. So everything we do in education has acronyms. So that one, we refer to this test as the CASP. And there's two tests that they're going to be taking within the CASP test. And first is the California Science Test. And that one is only our fifth graders are taking that test. They take the science test in 5th and 8th grade, and then once again during their high school years. So for here at Miller, only our 5th grade students are going to be taking the science test. And they will start that test April 18th, and they have that week to do their science test, so 18th through the 22nd. And then starting the 25th of April, we will be doing our SBAC test, which is the English Language Arts, Literacy, and Math test. And so our 3rd graders through our 6th graders will be taking the SBAC test. And that one is a computer adaptive test, meaning the questions kind of get harder as they answer or adjust based on their answers and how they're responding to the questions. And there's some different components to that test, but overall it's just their English Language Arts and Literacy and Math, and they'll start that April 25th, and they have lots of time to take it. We have makeup days and a whole bunch of stuff. So that's takes about, there's the math, they're starting with the math, I believe, in the English. So they'll be doing that for a while. And then some of our students have already taken the LPAC test, which is the English Language Proficiency Assessment. And so that's for our students whose primary language is not English. So they started taking that in mid-February. So I can believe all of our students have finished that did take that test. And that's to assess their listening, speaking, writing, and reading in English if that wasn't their primary language. And then again, our 5th graders, they're testing a lot this year, and they probably have already finished this one as well, their physical fitness test. They do that in 5th, 7th, and 9th grade. So our 5th graders, I believe, have finished that and have completed that one already. So those are all the testing. And then we have our iReady, as always. They do that 3 times a year, I believe, the beginning of the school year and then around December, and then we finish off at the end of the year. And that measures our reading and math scores, and it just gives us a really good information and set of data to understand where our students' strengths are, the progress they've made throughout the school years, and a good long history over their entire academics they've been with us to see where they're growing and what supports they need for reading and math. So once they finish the SBAC test, they will pretty much jump right into iReady starting May 9th and going to the end of May. Okay, and so that's iReady. So those are all the tests. So basically starting the 18th, moving through the rest of the school year, we are going to be testing. So we need to make sure our students are nice and prepared for those. Any questions on the actual tests? Yes, go ahead, Ms. Navarro. You want to unmute yourself.
Okay, so only 5th graders are testing this year?
No, so only the 5th graders are doing the science test.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, and then so 3rd through our 6th graders are doing the English Language Arts and Math, 3rd through 6th. So the 5th graders are doing the science test.
So 1st and 2nd are not testing, correct?
Just the iReady towards end of May.
Oh, okay, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? So how to prepare your students for the test. So our biggest thing is talk to your child's teacher. They're going to be your number one resource. You can ask them any specific questions about maybe where your student needs extra support, where they're struggling, what's going on in the classroom, what they should be learning, or what they should have be understanding at this point. And then just taking a look at their homework, see what they're bringing home to get an idea of the things they're learning in their grade level. But definitely feel free to reach out to the classroom teacher to see what supports your student needs and where you can help them at home. And then just talk to your student about the test. So we want to make sure that they understand that this test is important, but we don't want to stress them out too much. Just having them understand that this is just one measurement of their learning, and it's to help us figure out how to support the students individually, but also our students as a whole for our school. And so just helping as parents set the expectation for the testing. We just want our students to try their best. Some of the questions are going to be harder and they might not know them, and that's kind of expected with the style of the test. And so we want to make sure that they're taking their time and they're just working through it and they're trying their best. And the last one says be respectful of other students who take longer to finish. So a lot of our teachers have already been talking about ways that they kind of support the students in the classroom with them and the way they instruct their students. One teacher in particular mentioned, when the students finish, she just asks them to just close their computers and sit there quietly until everyone's finished. So that way there's no shuffling in the classroom and students don't start worrying about what's happening. And noticing like, oh my goodness, everyone else is finished and I'm still working. So our teachers are trying to make sure that everyone is nice and calm and ready to be ready in the classroom. And so just kind of having that same message from the parents, just try your best, not to rush, just doing what you can. And it's, not putting too much pressure on them, but still having them understand that it's important. And then some ways that your students can practice at home. Again, this presentation I'll put on our school website so that you have access to these links. But the first one is just review the parent guide to understanding. So it's available in 7 different languages. And it's just kind of helps you understand a little bit more about the tests and how they work. And then there's a couple other things to help practice. So the CASP website has some practice questions and shows you what the questions will look like and how the program works, or the actual computer program that they use to take the test will help out with that. And then again, the second one, the Starting Smarter website, has additional questions and resources to help practice at home. But just keep in mind the students have been practicing, they're already practicing in their classrooms. The teachers are helping them get used to the program and how it works and all the tools in the program. So they're going to be doing this over the next few weeks as well. So just making sure that it's not too extensive practice at home, but if your student does need the support, then there's these links here. But again, we don't want to stress the kids out, but we want to make sure they're prepared. So you do have these resources available to you at home if your student needs a little bit extra. Okay, and the day of testing, we just want to make sure our students have had a good night rest, they're eating a healthy breakfast. All of our students across the district get free breakfast and lunch in our cafeterias. And so if you want to come and have your kids make sure they're eating in the cafeteria, our gates open at 8 and everyone is welcome to come and get free breakfast all throughout the school year. But just keeping that in mind for testing days. And then during the session, it's super, super important that our students are following all of the protocols for our testing practices. So cell phones, smartwatches, and any other electronic devices must absolutely be turned off during testing and in their backpack. Their backpacks are going to be set aside either in the back of the classroom or possibly outside where there's going to be people monitoring them, just so that way there's no possible things that can go wrong, because if there's anything like that, any problems, any issues with the testing, it does need to be reported back to the state, and then it could nullify your student's test or possibly their neighbor's test, and we want to make sure that we avoid any of those situations as much as possible. So students will not be able to access their backpacks during the testing period, and everything must be in their backpack. One other thing to keep in mind, our students, part of the testing protocol is they have to wear headphones during the testing. We do have headphones we will provide to the students, but if they want to bring their own, they need to be wired headphones, and they can't have Bluetooth headphones during the testing either. So if your student wants to bring their own, it just needs to be a wired version, or we have some for them available. During the testing time, the weeks that they will be testing, they will be starting at 9 o'clock and then go generally to maybe about 10:30-ish. And so please just try to make sure you keep that in mind when scheduling any doctor's appointments or any other appointments, that they're after these hours. We will have a closed and quiet campus, so even like our front office staff or any of our non-classroom teachers, we are not allowed to call into the classrooms. We're not allowed to pull kids from the classrooms. It is strictly quiet and closed campus. So just keep that in mind if anything comes up. Try not to call or text your kids during that time period. Hopefully their phones are off, but just in case, we want to make sure that nothing prohibits their testing and nothing happens to their scores or anything. Any questions about that? And then just self-care for everybody, reducing test anxiety and managing any stress. We want to relax and remain positive. The best test takers are confident, committed, and are at ease. So if we start letting our nerves get the best of us, then we can possibly make our kids nervous about these tests. So we just want to, again, make sure they understand it's important, but it's not everything. It's not the end all be all. It's just one measurement of how they're doing this year. Okay, and so some kids like testing, so we don't want to overwhelm them and make it a scary thing. I actually really enjoyed standardized testing when I was a kid. I thought it was like a puzzle. Maybe I'm weird. I don't know. But so just keeping that in mind, just not to transfer our energy over to the kids and just remaining positive. But some things you can do. It's just, again, remaining positive, leading up to the weeks, acknowledge that it's coming up and remind them that they're prepared. They know what they're doing. They've been doing the same thing all year long. And just keep in mind with our extra anxious children, just, being aware of their anxiety, but also not kind of overdoing it, because with our super anxious children, they can kind of start pushing back a little bit on maybe not believing us. We're like, you've got this. Teaching positive self-talk. So just reminding your students to kind of take some deep breaths and remind themselves that they're capable, that they're able, and it helps stop some of those negative thoughts coming in. So something maybe is, I am calm, I'm focused, and I'm smart. I have studied and I am prepared. I calmly trust my knowledge. I'm doing the best I can, and my best is terrific. When angry or stressed, I take a deep breath, slow and deep breaths. Breathing deeply brings oxygen to my brain. Being calm helps me to remember more, or I have enough time. So just little things to remind them as they're sitting there and the test is opening and their teachers are telling them, okay, we're going to get started. They can have their little mantra in their head to kind of take some deep breaths with, calm themselves down, and know that they've got it. Also just meditation and deep breathing, relaxation skills. These take time and practice, and kind of needs to be a little bit of muscle memory sometimes, because when we are stressed and we are overwhelmed, it's a little bit harder to pull these out of us when it's not something we kind of use as everyday practice. So maybe starting a little bit, getting them used to these things now. So our students, most of them through our second step curriculum, our social emotional learning, they're all familiar with deep belly breathing, or balloon breathing. So just breathing in and feeling it in their diaphragm, in their torso, and letting it fill up like a balloon and then relaxing. And so the students know how to do that in general through some of our social emotional learning in the classroom. Counting to 10, so just slowly counting from 0 to 10 in their heads while they're breathing in and out through their nose. or figure 8 breathing. You just kind of trace like an 8 on their table and their desk, kind of with their imaginary fingers, starting from the center, and then just breathing in as you go up and loop down, get back to the center, breathe out, and kind of trace the breath down, up, and over a few times until your body kind of calms down. So some breathing techniques they can use ahead of time as well, kind of maybe in the morning to get their body relaxed and ready to get their brains going. And then just sticking with your usual healthy routine. Children thrive on routines. Just sticking to their regular bedtime and morning routine is going to be the best for them. Making sure they're getting enough sleep and eating healthy breakfast. And then again, trying to avoid any special plans the night before the test, maybe even having some fun activity after all the testing is done to celebrate them and show that how proud you are of them for doing the best they can. And taking a deep breath once we finish. It's going to be a long few weeks of testing. Okay, and so then understanding the results. So after the test is done, probably a while after, you will get a report in the mail from the state testing, and it'll look similar to this. And so it'll give you your student score and show you where they placed. So either exceeding standards, meeting it, nearly meeting it, or not meeting the standards. So it'll show you where your student's at, and then it'll give you a comparative to the school and to the state, so you can kind of see where your student is falling in line with the rest of the students at Miller, and then just all the state levels of that grade level too. And then it also gives you a history of your students' scores previous, if you have a third grader or a fifth grader or sixth grader, it'll show you. It might not be as comprehensive as it was a few years back because we've had some bumps in the road. So they might not have a historic, but just know that that is something also reported. But we'll see what there's probably not going to be much history in this report, but in your future years, you'll be able to see how they've progressed. Any questions so far? And then just some additional resources if your student needs support at home. This Be a Learning Hero website, again, these are all clickable links, the pictures, so when I put it on the website, you'll have access to these links. It's a really cool website. It has, so once you click on it, you can either do for the parents or for the students, and then you put in the grade level, and it shows you a bunch of resources or websites that are online that are reading or math websites that the students can access. It has tons of different things on there for you, like game kind of, learning games, all that good stuff. And it also has, for the parent side, it kind of has some stuff where you can, when we were in school, we were taught things differently and different ways to approach things than the students are now. And so it kind of gives you some help on how to teach your students the way we teach things now. And so I thought that was a really awesome website that's available. The Sora website we have available to our students, so it's just more literacy practice. They have access to virtual books through our libraries, through Sora. They can always continue on their iReady program. And then if your student needs any additional support, our district does offer free online tutoring. And that link is on the student's class link. They should be able to access that right there. Or the district emails it out every few weeks. Or you can reach out to us at the school if you needed any assistance in accessing that. But that is available to all of our students in our district. Okay, any questions about that? Okay, but definitely check out that Be a Learning Hero website. It has a lot of great resources. Okay, and then that's it for testing. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. I have Miss Allie Hazard is here. She's our instructional coach and testing coordinator. So if you have any more specific questions about the test, she'll be able to answer those as well. And if not, thank you everybody for coming and we appreciate your time. And hopefully that was helpful. And if not,
Thank you.
you're welcome.